Success has changed so much over time. And I think that goes back to when I was a kid. I was told to get good grades, to go to the right school, to get the right degree, and then climb the corporate ladder. And I remember being 18 or 19 being like, you know what? I'm going to be the corner office woman. I'm going to be jet setting, wearing high heel stilettos everywhere, suits. I was going to be the power woman. And I lived out that life, Mega. I lived out that life throughout my 20s and early 30s. And then my health was breaking down. For every promotion, I was moving to a different city. So my relationships were all scattered and there was no firm foundation. My romantic relationships were just abysmal because I was focused so much on work. And at some point you realize, and I'll speak for myself, at some point I realized I was chasing the wrong definition of success. That I'd been chasing this definition that had been created for me as a child, and I wasn't happy. My health was failing. My back was seizing multiple times a week. My skin was breaking out in my 30s. And you start to realize, okay, is this it? Like, is this what I really want from my life? And so in my mid 30s, I left corporate. And since then I've gotten married. I have kids. And even then, the definition of success has changed. And this is what I hear from women all the time, is that when they're in their 40s and 50s and they stop and really stop and say, what do I want from my life? Sometimes they're astonished that their goals have shifted. Like what they wanted was a legitimate goal and they achieved it. And then they're like, yeah, but I'm not seeing my kids. I'm not present for my partner, and I'm not happy. Yeah. And so I think as we layer things on and as life evolves, it's okay for your goals and your definition of success to evolve with it.
Absolutely. So beautiful. I think, Sarah, for me, I've just realized that, in fact, the way a man looks at success and the way a woman looks at success itself is so different. Like, I think for most men, their work or, how much they earn and their role and their position is what defines success. I think
it's their identity.
Yeah, it's their identity. And I think as women, for us, everything like making that good cup of tea is also success. Having your child just lie on you, and watching the stars is also success. And I think like I could say this for myself and my husband, like he comes home and if he's had a good day at work, everything's great for him. If I've had a great day at work, but if say my child is, not well or I feel that, oh God, I didn't do my justice to her, it doesn't make me feel like a success. So I think for a woman, really success is just so much more bigger, so much more holistic. And in that, yes, it just keeps changing year on year and, with each thing. So for me, I think it's exactly like your journey. At one point, it was all about, oh yeah, how well are you seen in the world and, what are the numbers you're making and things like that. And I think right now my success is just so much more inside out. And I think that's a very peaceful success, because not that those numbers aren't there, but it's just that they are the byproduct of what you're doing that makes you happy, right?
100%. It's interesting. So, my business is helping women leave corporate and start their own business. I've had thousands of conversations with women. And what's interesting is when we hear entrepreneurs online, on Instagram, on YouTube, it's often the 20-year-old men who are hustling without a partner, without kids, who are hustling 12 hours a day, and they're talking about their billions, right? Like they're aspiring to billions, and that's what they think entrepreneurship is. I talk to men in their 40s and 50s who are still very ambitious, and they talk about their empire. They talk about, okay, I want to have my name on a wing of a building. When I talk to women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, they're talking about their legacy not from their name on a building. They're talking about their legacy in terms of, did I provide impact? Am I helping people? How am I showing up in my community? How am I showing up as a mom, as a partner? It's completely different. And it's no less ambitious. Can we just put that there? These are still women who want to make an impact through their work, through contribution, and still want to get paid. These are women who want to make multiple six figures, seven figures, but they're not aspiring to billions because it's just as important to them to impact their community. When did I feel the need to rewrite my life? It's when everything started to crumble. It's when I was climbing the corporate ladder and I started to look above me on the rungs of the ladder, and I realized I didn't want to become that person. These were women, especially the women above me on the ladder. Many of them were divorced, barely saw their kids. They were doing the 4 a.m. commute to get into the office at 6 so they could make it home for pickup. I started looking above me and I'm like, I don't want that life. Yeah. And combined with, I'd been through my work situation, I'd been through multiple mergers and acquisitions. The company I started with became more and more political and bureaucratic, and the politics alone didn't align with how I showed up. And so I think that combined with what I told you in my early 30s, my health was failing, my relationship, it felt like my life was imploding. And if I didn't do something, I was just gonna spiral down. And so that's honest to goodness when I started to realize, okay, I need to rewrite what success looks like for me. And it can't be what my parents told me it should be. It can't be what my colleagues are aspiring for. It can't be what society tells me success looks like. I needed to write it for myself.
Beautiful. I think for me, it's been a little different. I don't think I had a moment where I was like, oh, a big moment and a big shift, because I've always been doing things I love. I was never a part of the corporate world because that didn't gel with who I was ever. But I think I feel the need, Sarah, to keep rewriting my life every week. In fact, like right now we had a meeting with my team and I realized that I'm too involved in too many day-to-day things. And I want to rewrite it and I want to free up my time. So every few weeks, I would say, if not every week, I'm seeing that I'm feeling the need to come closer and closer to myself, to get more time for myself and to just keep aligning. And like I'm a writer and I'm a speaker, and all the time I'm like facing the world out there, right? And sometimes it's easy to lose the balance as to what I want to do and what the world's expecting me to do. And I'm sure you face that as well, right? It's such a fine line. So I think to keep rewriting and to keep realigning in a way that, no, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here for. Don't chase that like and that comment and that, that thing. It's so much bigger than that. So I think almost on a weekly basis, I'm finding the need to rewrite some part of my life,
That's so critical too, Megan. I love that you said that, because oftentimes we think and in corporate, we're often taught essentially, okay, so at year end or, getting ready for the next year of planning, this is the only time of the year that we're going to take a moment to say, okay, what do we want for the next year? But I agree with you. I had, mini epiphanies in the last month of like, oh, I only want to be doing things that light me up. I only want to be working with a team that lights me up. And so but I also think it takes some space and time to reflect on what's going on and not being on the treadmill of life to be able to get those realizations.
In fact, I think one thing I've learned this week, which really aligns with everything we're speaking, is that I'm learning to sit with discomfort. Like whenever I'm a little uncomfortable, I instantly want to solve it. I want to change it. I want to act on it. I want to run away from it. I want to do something to move away from that discomfort. And this week I'm sitting with it. I'm allowing it to, I'm just seeing, okay, so what is it? What about me is right now, wanting a breakthrough, wanting a change? And I think just sitting with that discomfort has been leading me to so many of my epiphany moments and And it's amazing. I'm excited about what will unfold from here.
I love that. I love that. And it's only possible to sit in the discomfort if you allow yourself to sit.
Yeah.
Right?
True. Which is something we just don't, right?
We don't do. We don't. At least I didn't. I was, I think, and as I talk to a lot of women, oftentimes we're told that success is from achievement. Your value comes from achievement, comes from the doing.
Yeah.
And so it leads us to just be on this treadmill of doing.
Yes.
And we forget, oh no, we get to sit and just be for a second.
Yeah. In fact, I wrote it as one of my status a few days ago that the toughest thing to do is to do nothing. No?
100%. Well, especially when you've been conditioned not to do nothing. Like it's always need to be achieving.
Do this. If you're not doing anything, you're lazy or you're like not maximizing, to hell with all that, right? Like, I just think that doesn't work, at least not for me.
100%. No, I remember, and I tell I talk about this every once in a while. When I was a kid, my dad would get home later than we did from school. So I'd get home from school, I would do all my homework like a good student. And then after 2 hours of doing my homework, I would watch some TV. And I remember, and I have this like imprinted in my brain from childhood, my dad would come home from a hard day of work and walk across the living room, and he'd look at me and see me lying on the couch watching TV. Hard day at work, eh, Sarah? Or hard at it, eh, Sarah? And that imprinted in me that lying on the couch or like taking a rest after a long day of school and 2 hours of homework, that was bad.
Yeah.
Right? That's not approved of.
That's not okay. Yeah.
And it's so funny because my dad was probably joking. It was probably a throwaway comment in his mind, but it gets in there and it stays in there for our entire life.
It does.
I got to a point in my life where, and I say this, most of the women I talk to, they're either the breadwinner or the family depends on their income. And so the biggest thing for most women to leave corporate and start their own business is the financials. Like, can I make money? And that's a legit thing. I think when I look back at my situation, my life was imploding. Like, I feel like every part of my life was just crumbling, that I didn't care if I made money. I was like, I'll work at Starbucks as a barista at this point. I just need to get out of the situation. And so I think the biggest fear, though, that I had to overcome were the expectations of others that I was living by, and feeling like I had let my parents down, or talking about something that, I don't even know if this is gonna succeed. But also just, I think that's it. When you change the entire nature of your work, and because I was so wrapped up in work, it was my entire identity. I think that's the piece that I was letting other people's expectations. I felt the heaviness of that and the fear of going another way, but also shifting my identity in the meantime. Yeah. That was by far the biggest fear that I overcame.
Beautiful, so beautifully put. And I think I would completely agree and resonate with that, because I think we all build up an idea of ourselves, of life, of world, of how a day should be, of how success looks like, of how we see ourselves. And anything that shakes that idea makes you very, very uncomfortable within, because like you said, it shakes up not just the work, but your whole idea of yourself, So I think for me as well, like every time I've had to take a big decision or do something which was unconventional, I think the biggest fear was that who am I going to be after this? Or, uncertainty and like, is it okay? Like whatever. But I think when you do it, it just, at least I've realized in this trajectory of life that life just keeps getting better. Whatever is that better for you, but it just keeps resonating more and more. And I don't know, like it's always worked well, right? When you just overcome that discomfort of losing your sense of who you are.
Okay, Megha, can I just ask you a question though?
Yeah.
Because you said something so fantastic there. Life keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
So what I notice is that every one of us throughout our life, we're given moments of decisions and options. We can either, and what I see is when life gives us these options, we're given the option to either contract into the known and the certainty and the comfort that we're familiar with, or we're given the opportunity to expand into the unknown. And that is, even as I talk, I'm like, that's the scariest part, is expanding into the unknown, not knowing if your friends are going to approve, like if you'll still have friends on the other side of this, if you'll have a team on the other side, if there's going to be money to support, pay the mortgage or the rent or whatever, like the expanding into the unknown. And I say this because you are clearly, a very accomplished woman. You have a podcast, best-selling books, you're running a business, you're running a team. That to me tells me that in more often than not, you've expanded into the unknown.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, where does that come from? Because those are bold moves. Yeah. And when I hear people say, look, life keeps getting better and better, it's because they're expanding into the unknown every single time.
Yes. I think that poem itself, that, I don't know if you studied it, but the Robert Frost poem, that the road not taken, right? Like two roads diverge into the woods, and it's about one being the road that everyone takes and the one which is very taken by a few. And I think for me, at so many occasions, it was always this. And I think what worked, or what I did, was just listen to my heart. Like the voice around me was, I think I've built a cocoon, a protective space around me where first I ask myself how I'm feeling or what I want to do, and only then can someone else come in with their opinion. And I think it's in this space that a lot of my decision making happens, and I think those decisions are the ones that come from your soul and not from so everyone, so like to give you an example, my dad's, and he's an engineer, my mother was a lawyer, my sister is a doctor, and writing was not as common then, when I was schooling. And but I think this protective bubble just told me that no, but this is your thing, so let 10 other people tell you this, but this is your path. So I think that protective bubble is something that's helped me immensely in my decision making, and it's made my voice louder than the world's noise. Has it been like that for you?
Well, just as you're talking, I'm like, that's brilliant. Like that's a lot of what we talk about with our with women who are making transitions.
Yeah.
But the trick is to not just hear the voice, but listen to it and honor it. Yeah. And that takes so much courage. Tough. That takes so much courage, especially when it flies in the face of, and I don't know how you were brought up and what the expectations of your parents were, but if you were brought up with, lawyer, doctor, engineer, like there presumably, and I was the same, there were expectations on, no, you're going to do this path. And my parents now, and I'm 10 years into running my business, my dad still kind of shakes his head, is like, doesn't understand. He just can't comprehend what I'm doing or how it's all working. I'm like, that's okay, Dad. Like this wasn't available when you were growing up. This wasn't available when I was growing up. That was 40 years ago. Yeah. What does a high performance woman mean to me now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good question. Here's the thing. I look at it so differently now. I'm so attracted to women who are ambitious, but ambitious in not just their impact, how they show up in the world, but all of it. Ambitious in their joy, ambitious in their relationships, ambitious in their motherhood, ambitious. And so it's a much more holistic look at high performance now. It's, are you showing up as the best version of you? Yeah. And I know even before we started recording, I asked you, how do you attract the women that you have onto the podcast? And you said, and you mentioned that, there was something about like a soulfulness to me. And I said, you know what, when I started my business, that wasn't my intention. But I think the more you honor yourself, you step into the best version of you and the greatest version of you. And to me, that's high performance. And it's when you are constantly moving towards being the best version of you and showing up in every aspect of your life as the best version of you. And that only comes from working on yourself first, right? Like it comes from a bit of stillness and, a cup of tea in the morning as you and you think about the day and how do I want to show up? What's the intention I want to set for the day? But to me, that's high performance.
Beautiful. For me, I think there are 4 checklists for a high performance woman. 1, do you sleep easily? Actually, I feel that, if you're someone who puts your head on the bed and you can sleep without much of, whatever, to me, that's a high performance woman. I don't care what you do.
That also means like you don't have regrets or guilt or like you.
Exactly. Which is why. Because
good.
And I mean without the magnesium, not like pop 5 pills and then go to sleep. That doesn't count over here. Second, I think if you laugh enough in a day, if you really have that happy, I think only a person who's really living a good, fulfilling life can actually have that heartfelt laughter, that rocking laughter. So I think that. And third, I would say is that if you're someone who's still in touch with your emotions, where you can cry easily for others, for yourself. But I think to me, that's actually a high performance woman, because I think sometimes to get there, we tend to, let go of our emotions. And to me, that's not a good thing. I mean, I don't think we need to do that. And fourth, of course, if you're doing what you love and growing at it each day. So I think this is my 4 checklist to know, are you a high performance woman? And I think on most days I would call myself yes. And by the look of you, I'm sure you do too.
I love that definition. I love like sleep, laughter. I love that.
It's just different, right? Otherwise, it's always about the
achievement.
Where you are, this, that. Like, if you do all that and you can't come home and sleep well, to me, that's no performance.
What a great definition. I love that. I'm going to borrow that. I'm going to like take that and kind of, okay, at the end of the day, did I laugh well today? Am I falling asleep with a clear mind?
Yeah.
I love that. The thing that's helped me transform my life probably more than anything else has been a focus on personal development and truthfully and meditation as part of that. But I think, like I said, I was on this treadmill like so many women are, chasing the next promotion, the next title, the next achievement, thinking that that's what success was. And what's interesting is now that I've been out of that world, and I'm running my own business and helping other women do the same, it's remarkable how much personal development is required to, we just talked about high performance, how much personal development is required to be at your best. And whether that's showing up as your best, like I described, or your definitions of laughing and going to sleep well, I think that has been fundamental to my happiness, to my business success, to my marriage, to my parenting, to every element of my life. And I would say, and that's going to be a never-ending journey. I thought when I dived into it, I'm like, okay, I've released that trauma, I've healed that part of myself, and then you
realize
evolve. And then you hit new barriers. You're like, oh, I need to work on this again. Yeah. So I think by far. And what was interesting to me is when I started diving into the world of personal development, I would go to the seminars and the events, and I would start talking to people. And I was still working in corporate at the time. And it was remarkable. I noticed how many people in the audience, probably 80-90%, were business owners, because they realize that their business will only grow and expand to the level that they're able to as a person.
Exactly. Bingo. I mean, the moment you said meditation, I was like, she took it. So that's exactly it for me, Sarah. Like, I feel that, that 30 minutes or whatever time, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little less, but that I sit with myself, and I think this little I gets dissolved into the bigger I. I think for me, those are the moments of truth, and that's the moment of getting back to the womb or coming home to me, and those define the whole journey. So I think the one habit that for 20 years now that I've not missed for a single day has been my meditation, and it's literally carried me. I think that bubble that I spoke of only came in because of the meditation, because there's this protective energy that starts taking over you, that starts guiding you, that starts whispering to you, that starts holding you. And I feel that the most, I mean, of course I feel that, in a lot of things I do, when I'm writing, when I'm driving, but when I'm just by myself with my eyes closed, I think that's the part of my day that I still look forward to the most. Like, literally, I wait that when can I dissolve into me. So, yeah.
100%. And I just want to say, because I know there will be women listening who are like,
Yes.
I've got 3 kids under 4. I don't have time to meditate. Like, so nice for you ladies.
Yeah.
Look, I've got 2 kids. They're young. Sometimes my meditation is 5 minutes in the shower when it's the only time of the day when I am, unbothered.
Yeah.
And so I'll take an extra 5 minutes in the shower and I'll like, okay, what do I need to do? And I'll, connect. But I think it's so critical. And when I haven't, and there have been moments in my life where I've let the busyness or the newborn stage, take over my days, I've missed it. And not only do I notice, but everyone around me notices.
Sure.
Because I'm not connected, I'm not grounded, I'm not showing up as the best version of me.
Yeah. See, that's the reason I found you, because I think meditators have a way of finding each other, because we meet in the air, and I don't think geography, color, language becomes a barrier when the two spirits meet, right? And that's what I look for in my conversations with people or with any work that I do. So, yeah. I mean, it's just so clear as to why we brought together today.
I love that. Yeah. No, and let me ask you, did you grow up meditating? Was it part of did your parents teach you to meditate, or this was something that you came to?
I taught my parents to meditate. I came to it. I met my guru, and it literally felt like Harry Potter, like what he would have felt, living with the Muggles. And when he finally found Hogwarts for me, it was like, oh, so all that I believed in or all that I was feeling is justified, and this world does exist. And so I mean, a meditation happened to me in my early 20s, and it's been defining my life ever since. For you?
You know what's crazy? So I grew up, my dad meditated every single morning. So my dad, in Canada, no one meditated in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And my dad in the 70s had traveled through India and Nepal and he picked up meditation and yoga. And so I grew up coming down and he'd be on the couch meditating. And I thought it was the strangest. I'm like, Dad, you're so embarrassing, because it was so avant-garde. It was so new age. No one did this. And so I went the complete opposite. In my teens and my 20s, I was like, no, completely opposite. And then it was in my 30s, and it was in the same awakening that, awakening is a strong word, but it's in the same, when my life was crumbling, you look for, okay, where's the light? And the light for me was the meditation. And I came through it through Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, who kind of married the science to the spiritual. And that was my bridge to it. And now I'm all in, and have been for a decade.
Joe Dispenza has played such a crucial role for me as well. And so has my guru. I have a guru called Mahatria, and I'm going to share some of his videos with you. I think you'll love some of the meditations that he does. But Dr. Joe Dispenza has been such a game changer for me, because, I mean, everything is so, when science meets spirituality, at least for me, it's like that's what makes sense, because I'm very logical and I'm also very emotional, and I need something that blends both. I can't, if someone tells me just stand on your one foot and God will come, it won't make sense to me. But someone says do your work and also do this and it's all going to happen, it makes logical sense to me. So
100%.
Now, I mean,
now we know. Now
right?
now the connections are coming.
It all connects so beautifully. I love it. Thank you so much, Sarah. I literally.
Thank you.
we're soul sisters or something. I mean, there's just so much connectivity, right? Like, yeah.